Okay, welcome Year 6. I'm going to take you through your Globalisation graphic organiser for this term. So, I'd like you to start by drawing a red box, or a box, and then do your best to copy the logo in the box. Now that logo represents globalisation, which we now know is the increasing connections between places and people across the planet. So we're thinking about around the planet, around the globe, and that links us to globalisation. So, please can you draw a dotted line and write the word innovators on that dotted line. So when we talk about innovators, we talk about people who lead their field, people who are interested in inventing new things and creating and generating new ideas. So we're now going to draw a timeline, and that timeline is going to include three important people who have a link in some way to globalisation. So the first person is a man called Tim Berners-Lee, and Tim Berners-Lee is famous for inventing the World Wide Web. He invented it in 1989, and he was a British scientist. The next person we're going to think about is a man called Elon Musk. Now you may have heard of him. He's particularly famous for being a technology entrepreneur, inventor and engineer, and he's the CEO of Tesla. Finally, we're going to be thinking a little bit about a girl called Greta Thunberg. Now Greta Thunberg is a Swedish activist who began protesting to raise awareness of the need for climate change. And she's been in the media a lot lately, so hopefully you feel inspired by Greta. Okay, there's lots to catch up on there, so please now just take some time to go back and make sure that you have your image complete to this point. Okay? Feel free to pause this video at any point if you just need to catch up. Alright, so we're now going to talk about global warming. So if you could draw the perforated line and write global warming coming out of the right hand side of your globalisation image. Now, global warming is the term that's used to describe the increasing temperature of the air and oceans on planet Earth. There are many causes, so for example, burning fossil fuels through increased industrial activity. So you can see there the factory, which represents industrial activity. This increased industrial activity is one of the causes of global warming. So like we said, the increasing temperature that rises in the air and oceans on planet Earth. Another contributing factor to global warming is increasing air travel, which results in the buildup of greenhouse gases. So there we have industrial activity and air travel, which both contribute to the warming of the planet. Now, one of the consequences of a warmer planet means that many snow and ice caps are melting. We're going to learn a little bit about Mount Kilimanjaro, and you'll be quite surprised to know that since 1912, 80% of the snow and ice on top of Mount Kilimanjaro has melted. So that's a very real and tangible example of where global warming is having an impact on the planet. Okay, I appreciate there's a huge amount to draw and write there, so I'd just like you to pause the video now if you want to, so that you can catch up with the image. Okay, so hopefully you're now up to date and you've got your Mount Kilimanjaro with its 80% less snow since 1912. So that's in just over the last 100 years. What I'd like you to do now is just take your finger and you're going to trace back over your graphic organiser so far. So you might just like to remind yourself that globalisation is the increasing connections between places and people across the planet. You then might like to trace your finger along the innovators line to your timeline, which includes Tim Berners-Lee, the British scientist who invented the World Wide Web in 1989. Elon Musk, the famous technology entrepreneur, inventor and engineer, and the CEO of Tesla. And then Greta Thunberg, who's a Swedish activist who began protesting to raise awareness of the need of climate change. Then you can trace your finger along the global warming branch of our mind map to the industrial activity, increased industrial activity and air travel, which has helped to raise the temperature of our planet through the burning of fossil fuels and the build-up of greenhouse gases. One consequence is the impact on snow and ice, and an example that we're going to look at is Mount Kilimanjaro, where 80% of snow and ice on the peak of Kilimanjaro has melted in the last 100 years. Okay, so the next part of our mind map is going to link to deforestation. So you might see there the word forest, and that's preceded by the prefix de, which means to take away. So deforestation means that forests are being taken away or cut down. And you can see there, that's exemplified in the icon on the page. So deforestation also contributes to global warming. And the example we're going to look at is the deforestation that's taking place in the Amazon rainforest. So the Amazon rainforest is a hugely important part of South America, and the trees in the Amazon rainforest are being cut down at an alarming rate. Now, there are some important facts to understand about the Amazon. So it's over 55 million years old, which is hugely important. Okay, it's been around on the planet and is hugely important to the ecosystem of planet Earth. It's actually known as the planet's lungs, or the lungs of the planet. Over the last 50 years, 17% of the rainforest has gone. It's been chopped down. And more recently, at a rate of 36 football pitch sized areas of forest per minute have been taken down in the rainforest. Okay, it's really quite shocking. The Amazon rainforest is 1,725 miles long, and the rainforest is large enough to fit 25 United Kingdoms into the area of the Amazon. So if that just helps you to see just how huge an area the Amazon rainforest is. It's obviously a hugely important part of our planet's ecosystem, and it's absolutely vital that we learn about how we can preserve areas like the Amazon. Okay, so there's quite a lot of information there. Just finish that part of your graphic organiser. You might want to pause the video at this point to enable you to do that. Okay then, so the final part of our globalisation theme that we're going to be learning about over the next term is plastic pollution. Now, plastic pollution is a devastating problem in 2021 as it has been over the past number of years. And it's very well documented in lots of programmes, so say for example by David Attenborough that you may well have watched. Now, over 300 million tonnes of plastic is manufactured every year. Half of this is single-use plastic, so plastic that's used once and then thrown away. Now sadly, 8 to 12 million tonnes of that plastic ends up in the world's oceans every single year. That's a huge amount of plastic which is not only going to waste, but is causing huge amounts of damage on the oceans, to ocean life, and then to the habitats around the ocean as well. If you could just spend a few moments now finishing that final part of the graphic organiser. Okay, So hopefully you have now finished your graphic organiser for our overview of our globalisation theme. What I would like you to do is do your best now to trace back over the entire graphic organiser and just go back through to check that you can remember who Tim Berners-Lee was and what he was famous for, or why we know Greta Thunberg and why she's an important part of our theme. What is it about industrial activity and air transport that contributes to global warming? And why is it important that we know that 80% of the ice and snow on Mount Kilimanjaro has melted in the last 100 years? What is deforestation and how is it impacting the Amazon rainforest? Is it significant that 17% of the Amazon has gone in the last 50 years? And finally, what is it about plastic pollution that's so harmful to our planet? Now, your graphic organiser is going to be hugely important in helping you to remember important facts over the next term. So thank you for taking part in that activity, and I really look forward to seeing your graphic organisers that you send back into Ms. Ridgewell and I over the next few days. Thank you ever so much for listening.